Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another political episode. So, we got to cover up the last race of the 2025 season, and it is the state of Virginia, which, of course, was also a bloodbath for Republicans. Mostly, this is, I would say, mostly due to Trump. And I would say, highly suggest that, yeah, it's mostly due to the government workers getting laid off. There are a lot of government workers, and that just motivated them to just show up. And not to mention, Winsome Shears, oh my gosh. She ran the most, never again. Never, ever, 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 ever again. I mean, I'm sorry that I actually thought she was a strong candidate. I mean, I thought, we're just getting a lot of negative energy towards her and all that stuff. And that she was, I thought, she would get the backing of mainly the Christian right and all that stuff that would be motivated to vote for her. And the Jay Jones thing, let's talk about that later. We have a lot to talk about in this video because Democrats play dirty in this race. They absolutely play dirty in Virginia. And a race that, it's relatively a Democrat state, and they were probably going to win the state regardless. You have a Republican in the White House. This state, that's how it usually goes. This state usually votes against the opposite of the current administration in the White House, as evidenced in 2021. But you get what I'm saying here. It is absolutely very, very, very frustrating. And yeah, I mean, we have a lot to talk about. But let's talk about Winsome Shears, because honestly, she could have done better. I feel she didn't try her best. And it was very, very frustrating. Because that debate, I will say it out loud, Abigail Spanberger won that debate. Mainly because, Spanberger was bad. She couldn't even answer. You can't even tell me if a man should be in a woman's bathroom. And the answer is no. But then you have Winsome Earl Shears. She won't shut up. She will not shut up. She continues to ramble and ramble and ramble. And what do you think, lady? Come on. Do you think that's going to help you? All you needed to do was be quiet and listen to the moderator. And it's so simple, ladies and gentlemen. So simple. If you can't listen to this, you can't even listen to the moderator. How are you going to listen to the Virginian people? Lady, you can't even listen to the moderator. So how can we trust you to listen to us? That's what people got from that debate. Abigail Spanberger was tripping up like crazy. She came out like a senile old witch. And all Earl Shears had to do was be quiet and let Spanberger just screw herself up. But no, she has to come out and say she's so excited, she's so determined, she's so impulsive, we have to call her out on everything on the spot. It's like, oh, what the heck? Do you think you're going to forget in like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 30 seconds? Come on. This is absolutely ridiculous. So, yeah, it is what it is. We knew this was going to be an absolute disaster, but did we know that Earl Shears was going to lose by this much? Like, she lost Trump counties, like this county here, which is relatively more Democratic. But this county, I want to say, we should probably pull up the New York Times Virginia election NYT New York Times for this, yeah, you'll see clearly, and it's disputed. Wikipedia is allegedly saying that Spanberger has won Caroline County. That is what Wikipedia said, and I was surprised that she didn't win it earlier. This is a county that has been relatively very liberal throughout, like during the Obama administration, and 2017. We'll go. Yeah, you'll see. Ralph Northam almost carried this county out of everything. It is a relatively compatible county. Terry McAuliffe won this county in 2013. So that's how it went from there. But looking at this, yeah, obviously it's not looking good. Like, I believe I want to say that this of course is, I'm looking at Spotsylvania County, which first time voting Democratic since, I don't know. We were told that this was a pretty, it had to have voted for Trump by like less than 60. It had to have voted for Trump than less than 60. It wouldn't have made sense otherwise. Yeah, it did. Less than 60. So relatively, yeah, it's true. Spanberger was winning counties that were in the 50% margin. Not surprised. Lynchburg, Spanberger won. 59% in Chesterfield. That's devastating. You got 55% in Virginia Beach. 55. Yeah, she even flipped York County. Relatively pretty conservative. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see how she did in, Surrey County. Has become more competitive in recent years. In the Gap, then you have Prince Edward County. You have Montgomery County. Obviously, this was the nail in the coffin when it comes to these races. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? This was mostly due to the federal workers, and of course, the shutdown, of course. And this is why I keep saying it. Folks, you cannot tell me otherwise that this was not orchestrated to help Democrats win in Virginia and New Jersey. You just can't. It's still going on. So maybe there's some truth, but notice, hang on. Chuck Schumer yesterday put a proposal, a big Democrat proposal, to open up the government which is honestly, Republicans voted against it because it was a crazy proposal. I can't say what it was to be exact because I just kept scrolling. I'm like, I'm not reading BS. But, yeah, we voted against it. I could imagine this guy was asking for Obamacare subsidies. And this is what really it's all about. Obamacare. And which we're really fighting over. And obviously, we voted against it. But notice, this is the very first time they offered a proposal just days after the election. So, yes, it's true. They did use the shutdown to help orchestrate momentum in Virginia. They did use the shutdown to help orchestrate and help Mikey Sherrill. So it's obvious. It's blatantly in your face. But I would say Republicans were never necessarily favored at all to win this race. Winsome Shears couldn't even win one poll. Not one poll. Sure, you had the fake momentum in October, but that's called October response bias, and Republicans need to accept that. That will always hold them back. October response bias. You have a bunch of conservatives, a bunch of Republicans. They start looking in and they start taking polls because it's about election season. It's almost election season. It's almost election, and it's almost election day, and eventually that will get worse. But here's the thing: we gotta remember, Republican response bias, very bad in 2022. Okay? That was probably the biggest example. It's not bigger than summer response bias. Summer response bias is where it's the other direction, where Democrats take those polls. But all of a sudden, when you hit October, you got more ideologically diverse, and you just got a bit more Republicans taking the polls. But the question is, are these Republicans actually making in the effort to go out and vote? Okay? Because taking a poll doesn't mean, oh, I voted. Okay? That's what Republicans need to get away from, this polling disillusion. Because it is a distraction. It is something to distract. And really, it benefits Democrats in ways, because Republicans get overconfident with polls. They get overconfident with fundraising. They get overconfident with the rallies and the momentum and all that stuff. They get overconfident, and that hinders them. So, yes, obviously, I would say the average conservative, MAGA conservative, was not enthused with Earl Shears. They were not a fan with Earl Shears at all, and I would just say, in general, that they, of course, they stayed home. I mean, Earl Shears is not like that MAGA Republican, and she used her race a lot. I mean, like, lady, we don't care if you're a Jamaican immigrant. Okay? It's like, you gotta vote for me because I'm a black woman. Okay? That doesn't help you. It helps you if you're a Democrat, not Republicans. It turns people off. Okay? Okay? It's one thing to use it to point out the hypocrisy. Like, for example, if Democrats really cared about black people and the advancement of black people and colored people, as the NAACP claims, the NAACP would have endorsed Winsome Earl Shears. But they made it clear and blatantly obvious. They went and endorsed Abigail Spanberger, which raises questions. Huh? Why didn't you... could have had a black Jamaican immigrant. And I know I'm countering my own statement about the thing, but I'm saying this is what it came, the NAACP and Democrats, this is what they're exposing. They are saying, oh, we need to elect more women of color, but then they turn their cheek from the woman of color, who is a Jamaican immigrant, a black Jamaican immigrant who grew up in the civil rights era, for a white, straight, old woman. Why do they do that? Because she's a Democrat. The white, frail, old woman. Abigail Spanberger. You see, the Democrats will gaslight. They'll say, oh, we gotta support black women. We have to support people of color. We gotta have more colored people, more black people in office. We gotta advance history. No, that's a whistle. Okay, that's a dog whistle to get more, to energize the black turnout. But when it actually comes to elect a black person to government, and it's a Republican, oh, well, you see, this person, this lady's holding black people behind. You just don't understand. Yeah, she may be black, but she's only hurting black people. She's disillusioned. Blah, 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 blah. Abigail Spanberger will be better. No, it's about Democrats. It's about progressivism. It's about left-wing progressive liberalism. This is what it's all about. It's not about racial justice. NAACP has turned into a left-wing organization. They will use race as a way to get minorities turning out in elections and to vote for Democrats. This election cycle was an example. Because if they really cared about race and actually advancing and helping people of color, they would have endorsed Winsome Earl Shears. in a state relatively that was notoriously known for its lynching of black people, in a state that was extremely repressive during the civil rights era. And as someone who grew up in the civil rights era, Winsome Earl Shears, who was a kid in the 60s, I want to believe, you turned your cheek and looked to Abigail Spanberger. This exposes everything. Like it or not. So yeah, obviously, what Shears could have done way better. But am I surprised with this? No. She ran a very garbage campaign, and I don't want to see her running again. Unless she wants to run for the Senate. Do I think has a chance of flipping Mark Warner's seat? No. Not at all. I think it's, Mark Warner. Yeah. No. Maybe Glenn Youngkin, but I don't have that seat in contest. But we've talked a lot about Virginia, the gubernatorial race, but now we got to talk about the lieutenant governor race. And this is another aspect of which, I think personally it was going to be a Hashmian victory. But the antics of how Hashmi orchestrated her race, it exposes how much the media is involved in the Democratic Party. Okay, because despite having a scandal, John Reed, he managed to perform actually better than Winsome Shears. Which makes me wonder if Hung Kao could have performed. I think he would have maybe did a point better. He obviously wouldn't make this race close, seeing how bad Winsome Shears performed. But Ghazala Hashmi and the media, they collided. And you can't convince me otherwise. Because the 2025 Lieutenant Governor debate was probably the most scandalous debate in history. No matter how many debates there were that existed, like the 2020 debate, 2024 debate, all that stuff, the Kamala Harris getting all the answers, blah, 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 blah. Those are accusations. Okay, now it's straight in your face, because now the media is straight out telling you that, we collided with the Hashmi campaign, and we don't care. So, what I'm about to show you is a debate where Ghazala Hashmi didn't show up. Okay, that was her choice. She thought she was gonna win. She shouldn't have showed up. But for some stupid reason, instead of having maybe an empty podium, leaving the empty podium, or just not having a podium at all, no, they decide to make an AI version of Ghazala Hashmi. An AI version of Ghazala Hashmi. Delivering and basically an AI version, basically saying the things that she would have said if she were at the debate. But the only difference is, there's a difference with AI, artificial intelligence. I think it would work if I just played it for you, so we could go over it. This little clip, because this is absolutely disgusting.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us on this unique occasion for an exchange of ideas between the two candidates running to be the next Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. First, the Republican candidate, Mr. John Reed. Welcome, Mr. Reed. Next, the Democrat candidate, State Senator Ghazala Hashmi. Senator Hashmi, are you there?
Good to be here. Thanks so much.
Okay. First, let's get to opening statements, starting with Senator Hashmi.
I'm running to be Virginia's next lieutenant governor because voters need someone who has the experience, knowledge, and ability to fight for Virginians, especially given the chaos coming out of Washington. I have a track record with regard to the issues that Virginians care about: education, healthcare, housing, and opportunity. I am ready to make policy that will make Virginia an example for other states.
Mr. Reed, your response?
Well, it's too bad that Senator Hashmi won't appear for a real debate. If she's not willing to engage in her own campaign for lieutenant governor, I don't know why anybody thinks that she'd be able to fight for anything in Washington, D.C. And indeed, the things that she has fought for in the state Senate are the things that most Virginians don't like keeping the schools closed for an extra year, like pushing for boys and girls sports, advocating for men in women's private spaces, higher taxes, releasing criminals early. Everything that we would identify as a problem in the state of Virginia, Ghazala Hashmi has pushed. Now, you compare that to me. I'm someone who has worked at the highest levels of the federal government as communications director in the U.S. Senate, as communications director at the United States Chamber of Commerce, working with business people all around the world and in the United States, from the Fortune 500 companies to the smallest mom and pop startups. I know what these businesses need to try to grow their business and increase jobs. And that will be one of my key priorities, not just gaveling in the Senate, not just working on legislation with senators, but advocating for the state of Virginia. And with the chaos that Ghazala Hashmi references in Washington, D.C., and the fact that we're $37 trillion in debt, you need someone like me at the state capitol in Richmond who will try to bring additional jobs to Virginia rather than burden businesses and folks who are trying to grow the economy.
Our first topical question tonight is about the economy.
So, yeah, I get it. The moderator is also a dumb coward because he's also doing an AI version. I don't understand why, really, but that's not the point. It would be different if he did it. It's less scandalous. But to have your political opponent not show up, not face the pressure, and not ask the questions that Virginians want to know, and to have a stupid AI, which obviously is going to respond in 100% correct, without any stuttering, without going over the time, because those are the realistic challenges of the debate. Ghazala Hashmi is so stupid and so weak and so dumb. She can't even afford, I can't do that. So she skips out and she somehow creates and gets in touch with this station to create an AI version of herself, delivering bogus answers, which, we don't even know she would have said for sure. This AI, just assume, is basically saying what's ever in the cloud. What is this likely her views? Yeah, very likely. But part of it is understanding the candidate's personality, and I don't get any personality from AI. Okay? So obviously, AI is going to respond 100% correct all the time. You'll see, notice John Reed's answer was a little longer. Part of the challenge of the debate is trying to squish in your introduction and all that stuff and practicing. So John Reed put on the effort. Coward Ghazala Hashmi chickened out, collided with this dumb news station, and put an AI version of herself on the stage. thus again, refusing to meet eye to eye with voters. She's not actually telling you what her positions are. She needs an AI robot to tell you what her positions are. Which really begs me to think, is this really her positions? I don't think they are. She's way far left. She is super far left. And that is why she knew that she can't afford to lose the far left base of her campaign. So that's why she said, you know what, we're just going to put in an AI robot, and only the dummies, the stupid idiots that will believe this AI robot will support me. So I want to actually continue. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but I do want to look at and see what the first question is. Because obviously, in how robot fake diet, Ghazala Hashmi has to respond.
Virginia currently is one of the top 5 states for business, according to CNBC's annual economic report. However, with recent cuts to federal jobs, which have affected millions of Virginians, analysts worry about Virginia's economic stability going forward. What would you do to help bolster Virginia's economy as Lieutenant Governor? Senator Hashmi?
I want to make sure that Virginia is prepared for the future as the economy, technology, and the workforce evolve. We need to expand access to quality childcare and make it affordable. Government should ensure that families have home health care and elder care. We also need to mandate that workers receive compensation at an acceptable level. I believe that a living wage is a fundamental right for workers and their families. Accordingly, we need to institute living wage here in Virginia.
Mr. Reed, your response?
Well, how can you tell me that you know nothing about the economy and business without actually admitting you know nothing about economics and business? Senator Hashmi just did that. Talking about a living wage sounds good, but it doesn't accomplish anything except the loss of jobs. Mandating that businesses provide child health care, and health care does nothing for the actual workers except cost them their jobs. The solution here is to create non-government programs that enable and empower businesses and the individual employee, not create additional government regulations that make it harder for citizens to work. And I'd point out that I'm the only candidate who every week has unveiled policy positions, including on child health care, providing opportunities, tax credits for people who need them. It's called the Reed Revolution. I hope you'll go online and take a look at the proposals that I've issued. I think you will find them to be reasonable and responsible. They won't break the bank. And most importantly, they will inspire business people to come to Virginia and grow their economies, grow their businesses, and increase jobs rather than mandate programs that will crush job opportunities in the Commonwealth.
One matter specifically that could affect Virginia's competitiveness in the market is...
Okay, we'll just stop here. So you can understand why this is a big deal. So part of the debate isn't just to express your issues, express your views, and answer questions that the voters may have. Even though Ghazala Hashmi didn't answer any questions. People want to know what you have to say. If I wanted, what's the point of having an AI Ghazala Hashmi? Google AI is much effective than this. It's basically the same thing. It's the same thing as searching up something on Google. And we know how bad Google AI is. This is a chicken move of Ghazala Hashmi because she is a weak coward. She is weak. She is bad. Now she's going to be the lieutenant governor, and Virginia is going to see quite blankly how bad She is. Give Kamala Harris some credit. She showed up at a debate. This lady can't even do it. This lady can't do it. Now, it's important to recognize that this lady never did a debate. She participated in a forum, which is not the same thing. She participated in a forum, a Democratic Party forum, which obviously is a platform which you have people that are on the same side as you. They participate in the same grift. It's really about, do you have better ideas? Who's the best? Who's more far left? But now, actually, you got to appear sane, and Ghazala Hashmi can't afford to do that. So she puts an AI version of herself debating the real John Reed. John Reed needs to sue. He needs to sue this station. What's the station's name? Oh, yeah. Never mind. It's not. John Reed, this is his channel. But I don't know what station this is. Let's find out what the station is. And John Reed, it's up to him. But if I were him, I would be suing. This is absolutely election interference. Like, seriously. This is collusion. The exact definition of collusion. Could you imagine if Trump did this? An AI version of Trump? Absolutely infuriating. John Reed showed up. He's qualified for lieutenant governor. You voted, and we knew she was going to win. And part of the reason was the environment. But you voted for a lady who's so chicken, she can't even get herself to show up and answer basic questions. Now somehow she's supposed to ask questions, answer questions, and address the concerns of the Virginian people. Is she going to have an AI robot, an AI version of her leading the Senate, the state Senate, in the Senate chamber? This is what Virginians voted for. And John Reed? I mean, hey, you can say legitimately that John Reed could have done better, but it's not necessarily all his fault. Number one, the debate against him was rigged. It went viral because of the reason it was rigged. Number two, there was the Nazi porn scandal, which, not as bad as Jay Jones scandal. I don't care about the Nazi porn scandal. Who cares? You guys voted for Jay Jones. Jay freaking Jones. The mentally ill, mentally insane lunatic. Now the top cop. All because you don't like Trump that much. Let's keep in mind the reason why Jay Jones won. It was not because, I would say, it's not because of the fact that they are proud of him for killing kids. No, it was mostly due to the federal workers. Okay? The federal workers were that morally disgraced, that were just that filled with hate and vitriol, that, we're just going to put in a psychopathic killer, in order to spite Trump. And only to spite Trump, because I'm butthurt I lost my job. That bad. I'm that butthurt. We're just going to put a psychopathic killer. And I'm just saying, hey, to the 46.8% of Virginians that voted for Jason Mieres, I feel bad for you. Because your attorney general doesn't care. He won't care. This is a guy that wants to kill police. And for anyone who's a cop, I want to thank Virginian cops for their service, because they're not going to get any thanks under this guy. They're not going to get the decent respect that they deserve under this lunatic, who is a delegate in the legislature, has nothing to do with the law and judicial overview and enforcing the law. It was a very dark day in Virginia. And of course, it's very sad. And, this shows that, if you're a Democrat, if you have D by your name, you're all good. You're all good. You're okay. You're fine. You don't need to worry about it. You hate Trump? You committed a scandal? Don't worry. As long as you hate Trump and you vote for Democrats, you'll be fine. Jay Jones pushes the far-left conspiracy theories? You're fine. So, Jason Mieres did a very good job. But let's keep in mind, Winsome Earl Shears gets some blame too. She could have done better. If we lived in a sane world, which we don't, this guy, Jay Jones, would have lost by like 30 points. But unfortunately, we don't live in a sane world. We don't. And we can officially say that 1,795,000 people are mentally ill. This guy's a horrible person. Horrible. It's just so shocking. Folks, this proves that there are people, at least 1,765,000 people in Virginia that want your kids dead because you are a conservative. 1 million. This is the world we're in. Make no mistake about it. But it is what it is. And this pretty much wraps up the remaining analysis other than county results. You'll see that Jones and Hashmi performed the same county-wise. In fact, these are the exact same counties that Kamala Harris carried in 2024. Although, add context, you have a bit more marginalized. You have bigger margins. Actually, hang on. Correct myself. No, she didn't carry Surrey County. Although Surrey County flipped this time around. But yes. We can completely ignore the fact that, we can dismiss the fact that, this is a blue state, though. It's unreal. I know a lot of people will say, well, if Jay Jones were the Attorney General of New York, he would still win, right? Yes, he would. Correct. But Virginia has showed in recent years that they know better. They know better. But we can officially say there are some lunatics in the North, which I have zero respect for at all. Zero respect for, because why should I have respect for them? They want my kid. I don't have a kid, but if I'm ever going to have kids, they want my kid dead. They want my kid dead. They want everyone who's voted for Trump dead. These are federal workers. These are people in the government. I think they should have lost their job. That's domestic terrorism for you. So, Anyway, that pretty much concludes our analysis. What do you guys think in regards to this video? We'll talk about the ballot measures, which, of course, we do have some ballot measures, a lot of them, I want to believe. I'm seeing how bad this night was. Were defeated. But there are considerable ballot measures that were wins for the GOP, and we'll go over that starting tomorrow. But anyway, what do you guys think in regards to this video? Let me know down below, and as always, I'll see you all in the next political episode.